So what have you been doing on YBC?
Well, yesterday was a lot of fun. The students did a workshop with me, and I also did a workshop with the faculty, the staff here, and basically the workshops were looking at this central space and asking the questions: what works in this space, what doesn't work, what are the challenges of trying to make this space work, and what are the opportunities? What do we see, or what don't we see, and what can we actually create in the space so that we can make it habitable for people, make people feel safe, make them feel secure, but actually give it, to quote one of the teachers, actually give purpose to the space. And as one of the students had indicated, we need to think about the space as having a public zone, smaller group zones, and private zones. So essentially taking that knowledge, and this is where the research comes in. I'm probably not a very good designer if you just ask me to design a school, but if we start talking about the kinds of things that you want in it, then we can start crafting the space to support how we're going to use it.
I think it looks really good here. What is a recommendation for us to continue to keep this as a secure, safe, and kind of a private space?
Well, as you asked me, it's also how do we encourage people to know that they can make changes to the spaces. I think that's a big part of it as well. What we did here today, and I don't want to say it was me, we had number of students were involved, teachers were involved, we all moved the furniture together, and what we really tried to do was build upon what we found out yesterday from the workshops. And it was really about breaking the space down into more manageable spaces so people could come in and feel safe and secure and know, well, this is a more group, louder area, this is an area where people are working. So what can we do? One thing definitely, and teachers have said this to me before when I've rearranged their rooms, is that you can change it. You own this space. This is just a starting point. And as a starting point, it can change. And one thing that we did talk about is that we see how the space works, and then when people come back from holiday, we've got back here, we've created these more private zones back here. We can put some signs up there and ask the same questions that we did in the workshops, which were, what's working, what's not working, what are the challenges, and what are the opportunities in the space. And try to stay on top of this, because that builds into, continued research. So in a school that looks at business and looks at social sciences as well, we're building in questions that can continually be reviewed, answered, and built upon. So we can build, essentially, this is a hypothesis, and we're testing the hypothesis based upon what we found out yesterday.
How do you think and feel about the square on the 5th floor compared to the 4th floor?
I think it's much better on the 5th floor because there are more tables and less chairs at the tables you can sit alone, and there's also a quiet area where you can sit. At the 4th floor there are more tables and it's kind of messy, I think. Yeah.
Why these changes?
Or when I walked in the space, it just seemed that there was a rhythm that was, everything was the same. And when everything is the same, you don't have the cues to inform users that there are different ways that people can act in the space. So what we tried to do, once again, is think about that at the front of the space, make that the most public. That's where everybody's gathering. So trying to rearrange the space to support how people might use it, to support the different, the teachers, the students, and the other in a sense, schools that you might use the space. And also, I would say it gives us an opportunity to think about how we might arrange the space downstairs, or how other schools might use this kind of a space. YBC is not unique in having a cluster of classrooms around a common central area, but now we can test to see if this arrangement works, and if it doesn't work, then what we can do is keep moving, pushing and pulling, because the best thing about the space is that things can move. And if they can move, we can continue trying things.
Do you think we should redecorate and change on the 4th floor as well?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's good with changes, and we have it has looked like this a long time now, so I think it's good to change it up.
What do you think is so important about what you do?
Well, I look at what I do as a kind of a social political statement that, one, when people see that they can make change, they will make change. If people get support in wanting to make change, they can. And looking at the physical environment as being not just about open space or closed spaces, it's about bringing people together in different ways and giving people choice in how they want to come together, and also giving people choice in how they want to work in a space. So if we know that we have choice and that environment supports us, I think it, will also provide us a purpose as we move through life, so that everything we do isn't just random. It's driven by the knowledge that we can make a difference.
That's great. Thank you so much.